So how do you take this skill of making right angles and build them on your lawn, and why indeed would you want to do this? Well, getting out of that realm of using pen and paper and a compass and taking this skill outside really helps us see that it's a really valuable skill, and a lot of people use it. Imagine that hockey field or that rugby field that you play on every Saturday. Somebody has to mark that out. So when they go to mark out that field and get the sidelines right, they might know how long the field has to be. I'm just making up some numbers here. And they might know how wide the field might need to be, maybe something like this. I can't remember the exact dimensions of a field. But how do they make sure that it's actually a proper rectangle and that it's not all a bit skewed off and actually a parallelogram or a rhombus or something like that? Well, they need to use Pythagoras, and they do this all the time. They'll measure out one distance and then they'll measure out the other, and they'll put something of that curvy line of all the points that are maybe this distance away from this corner post. Making a scratch in the mark helps to find all of the places that are perfect distance from here. But the next thing they need to do is actually find what this distance should be by using Pythagoras. So they literally reach for their calculator, figure out what that should be, and then put a tape measure from here to here, make a scratch, and where those two scratches line up, that's the top post, and you can then run a string line between these two and mark out the field. Now, builders do this same thing when they're building a house and they want to get the corner of the house looking like a proper corner. There'd be no point building a house and then finding that everything's a little bit off and it wasn't actually a right angle. And you can't go building a house by just getting out a little set square that's this big and sort of lining it up by eye. It wouldn't be accurate enough. And the more inaccurate you are, so the less accurate you are, the more that would be wrong, the further and further you went away. So something that looks a little bit dodgy here looks really dodgy if it's on a whole big building or a field or something like that. So what you need to do, you won't be using a compass this time. You're going to start by making a 3, 4, 5 triangle, because that's a nice easy one to make. So grab your measuring tape. You're going to need maybe some tent pegs. They'd be a handy resource. And you're going to need a measuring tape. So something that goes up to, say, at least 5 metres. Make a 5 metre starting point. Now to do this, just put a peg somewhere in your lawn and then put a peg exactly 5 metres away from it. So you haven't actually got a line, you've just got 2 pegs. So the first part of the triangle is easy. Now it won't be 5 centimetres, it'll be 5 metres. Then get your measuring tape and measure out 3 metres from one end or the other. Now if you've got a measuring tape that's got a little hole and you can slip it over the peg, that's even better. If not, get a sibling or a friend or mum or dad to help you hold the measuring tape exactly where you need it here and go out to the 3 metre mark. When you get to that 3 metre mark, you'll be holding your measuring tape and you'll need to then make a mark in the ground at all the places around about where you think it needs to go that are exactly 3 metres from there. So this person will need to hold the measuring tape still, and the person out here will need to walk along back and forth a little bit, making a scratch in the ground with their tent peg at all the places that look like they're about 3 metres from here. Then open your tape out to 4 metres. Get somebody to hold it still on this peg, measure it out. When you get to the 4 metre mark, you're not going to need to scratch out a great big line. You'll be able to see a scratch you've already made. Try not to dig up mum and dad's lawn too much. You'll be able to see where it comes to, and wherever that intersects the other scratch, you can put your other peg in there. So you're going to build this triangle by literally just putting 3 tent pegs in the ground. Now how can you tell if you've made a nice right angle? Well, if you stand right here and even put your feet, one here and one here, you can look along this way and look along this way and look down at your feet. You'll find that they're pretty much looking like exactly 90 degrees, and it's quite a satisfying thing to build a right angle like this just using a tent peg and a measuring tape. Quite simple. Once you've built an easy one, a 3, 4, 5, I want you to build another right angle triangle that has some other measurements. So you can make 2 of the measurements something nice. You might just sort of say, all right, 1.5 metres, 3 metres, I'm making up numbers here. And then you'll have to decide what the other side needs to be. So you'll have to figure it out with Pythagoras' theorem and then go ahead and make your triangle. When you've made your triangle, take a photo of it and we'll upload it to Canvas and have a look.